Welcome everyone to the regular council meeting of November 18th, 2025. A couple of reminders for today's meeting. Members of the media may sit in the upper balcony at the reserved media table. All other guests, please take a seat in the first floor gallery. If that is full, there is overflow seating on the second floor in the Victoria Room, where you will be able to see and hear the meeting. We live stream the meeting on our YouTube channel, and the recording is available after the meeting. The meeting is also broadcast on Broadcast Live on your TV. Cogeco subscribers channel 10, HD channel 700, and rebroadcasted on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and on Saturday at noon. Because meetings are accessible to the public in all these ways, video or audio recording by members of the public is not permitted in council chambers. This is to ensure that all attendees and those who come to make a deputation feel at ease. Thank you for your cooperation. Everybody rise for O Canada.
The true north, strong and free, from far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
We'll now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Councillor Joyce, you have the adoption of the open session agenda.
Yes, I do, Mayor, and through you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Warren, that the agenda for the open session of the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 be adopted as circulated with the following amendment. That the item 6.1 addition, being a deputy by Brendan Flowers and Victoria McCrum regarding the development charges, background study, and associated bylaw.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that passes. Moving on, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on anything on today's agenda? Seeing none, should any arise during the course of the meeting, advise the chair and we'll deal with it accordingly. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 21st, 2025, and of the special council meeting of November 12th, 2025, be received and adopted? Councillor Ashmore, Deputy Mayor McDonald, all in favor? And that passes. We'll now go to notices and information by members of council. Councillor Noble.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lindsay Art Gallery members and supporters, in 2026, the Kawartha Art Gallery proudly celebrates its 50th anniversary. As part of this milestone, we are honoring the incredible support and creativity of our members with a special exhibit, Your Hometown Heart, featuring artworks created exclusively by our members and supporters. And this will also mark the inaugural exhibit in the gallery's Art Nook Gallery exhibit space location at 19 Cambridge Street South. In Lindsay, we invite you to share what's in your heart, your favorite place, person, animal, or thing that makes the Kawarthas special to you. It's open to all art gallery members and supporters. The theme, Your Hometown Heart, what is in the Kawarthas, what fills your heart with pride, peace, or inspiration. You can choose your own medium, paint, written word, photography, mixed media. You can register online at kawarthagallery.com. And upon registration, each member will receive one 8x10 canvas to create their own work. All completed works will be proudly displayed in our first ever exhibit in the new Art Nook at 19 Cambridge Street South. I have only known my fellow councillors for a short time, but I am sure that I will not be the only member who digs out their crayon collection for this, and I am so looking forward to seeing your magnificent masterpieces on display in the new year. The deadline for submissions is January the 31st next year. This Friday evening, 3 nights from now, November the 21st, the fun starts at 5 p.m. with the Lindsay Downtown Holiday Kickoff, leading up to the lighting of the tree at 6 p.m. The Lindsay BIA is encouraging all of our downtown shopkeepers to remain open after 6 this Friday, so start things off this weekend as we light up the tree and help make downtown Lindsay a vibrant and festive destination this holiday season.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Bob Cajun had one of the best festival of trees ever. It was incredible, so much fun. And Mingle and Jingle was amazing, and the weather, you know, the rain didn't dampen the Christmas spirit for sure. And on that note, the Bob Cajun Santa Claus Parade is just around the corner on December 13th at 5 o'clock. So I hope people will come out to the Bob Cajun Santa Claus Parade. On a not so happy note, the province is planning on consolidating 36 conservation authorities into 7. This will diminish our input into local conservation issues and minimize our voice. The new regional structure would have 2 regional conservation authorities within the Kawartha Lakes. One region would include the most northern area, which includes Thunder Bay, and would see 80 municipalities working to govern the new regional conservation authority in that area. The other region would cover a geographic area in the south from Ajax to Napanee and north to Coboconk to a point west of Caladar, involving 48 municipalities. The province is also proposing the creation of the Ontario Provincial Conservation Agency to provide additional oversight to conservation authorities as part of Bill 60. While the involvement the province through the agency has potential benefits to conservation authorities, which have been requested by conservation authorities for decades. The proposal also includes, though, additional financial burden to municipalities by having to fund this agency for specific functions and for its long-term financial sustainability, which can be apportioned to regional conservation authorities. This kind of amalgamation was tried during the Harris days, but was stopped by the mayors of the day. I urge everyone to speak out and comment on the province's ERO before it's too late. I will be bringing a memo forward in December to seek council support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and Santa's going to be making his rounds and enjoying many, many breakfasts. First off, the Pontypool Community Centre is hosting December 7th from 8 to 11, following up that evening with the Santa Parade starting at the Fire Hall. Bethany United Church is hosting on December 13th from 8:30 to 10:30. Janettville Community Center is hosting Sunday, December 14th, 9 to 11. It's also a wonderful time of the year, again, as our local fire stations always do their food and toy Santa runs on the following dates. Bethany the 13th, Janettville the 14th, and Pontypool on the 14th as well. Janettville is hosting a huge Christmas wreath workshop on Sunday, November 23rd from 9:30 to noon. Tickets are at Janettville Hall at live.com. And the United Church is also hosting a large Christmas bake sale on November 29th. And this is just a gentle reminder to donate to all our local food banks, as many folks will have some challenges in our communities this year. And it's just a small act of giving that makes the big difference. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few announcements. Just wanted to thank the Omemee Legion for a memorable remembrance dinner that was held on November 7th. My wife and I attended this. The special guest was Miranda Zapiri. Miranda participated in the Battlefield bike ride across the Netherlands this summer, raising over $600,000 Canadian for veterans and veteran support, for physical supports and mental health support. And it was an amazing presentation, and for all the good work that they did. I want to thank her and her group. Also, a thank you to the charity riders who donated a very nice gift to the monetary gift to the Omemee Legion. And speaking of Remembrance Day, certainly a lot of people attended Remembrance Day ceremonies and various cenotaphs, and certainly an excellent turnout everywhere. I'd like to thank the Dunsford District Elementary School for their generous gift of over 800 food items to the Dunsford Food Bank. This was done just recently. I wanted to thank them for doing that. Also on Saturday, November 29th, the Dunsford Fire Department will be having a food drive. They'll be going out into the communities and picking up food items, non-perishable food items for the Dunsford Food Bank. On Friday evening, December 5th, the Christmas tree lighting will be held at Coronation Hall in Omemee, and around 5:45, and the Christmas tree lighting after that will be activities at the hall most of the evening. And then finally, Saturday, December 6th, the Omemee Santa Claus Parade will begin at 1 p.m., embarking from Scott Young Public School. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. Just like to take the opportunity, had the honor to attend the Fire Service Awards along with my fellow councillors and the mayor to honor many men and women who have dedicated their time and efforts to the protection and safety of our community. So thank you for your courage and your dedication to our community. I really appreciated that. And also attended the 31st Annual Dream Ball also on the weekend for the Boys and Girls Club Foundation. What a great event to support our club for everything they do in our community. It was really a good evening. Got Glenda Morris would like me to make an announcement for the upcoming event to support the place called Home. The event is a dramatic reading from Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, December 3rd at the Cambridge United Church in Lindsay. The readers and the host includes the well-known names of the community such as Denny Grenon, Alex McLeod, Nancy Payne, Jesse Kennedy. Last year's event was a huge success in spite of the ice storm, and this year's version has some new features. Admission is free and donations are welcome. A Place Called Home is a beloved organization of our community doing work that Charles Dickinson would love to see in his lifetime in Victoria, England. This is a fitting tribute to the work in A Place Called Home and will be entertaining for everyone to come to, so hope everybody can make it. Just to add to Councillor Doble with the Christmas tree lighting, we also have the holiday kickoff downtown in the BIA. This event also marks the launch of the Holiday Passport, running until December 22nd, giving customers the chance to win some fantastic prizes. And the first scheduled draw is for November 25th. It's important to remember, though, that Friday, November 21st through to the 23rd, it's a double stamp weekend. And I just want to take a couple seconds to explain that. And this is how it works is customers make a purchase downtown to earn a holiday passport stamp. You collect 8 stamps and 8 different business to complete the passport. And then you complete the passport and you hand it in for gift certificates. This year, we have over $4,000 in gift certificates that people could win. And last year, the passport generated almost 10,000 purchases in the downtown Lindsay. So it just shows you how important it is for people to come out and support our downtown. So just let everybody know to come on out and enjoy that. Let's see. Oh yeah, and November 23rd, Santa Claus Parade starts at 2 o'clock. Best parade around. So if anybody's in Lindsay, come on in and enjoy the Santa Claus Parade. And also on November 26th at the golf course, if anybody would like, there's a breakfast for the breakfast with our chief of police. If anybody would like to attend from 8:30 to 9:30 on the 26th. So thanks everybody and happy holiday.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. I really like the November council, the November meeting, because Ward 4 has something none of the other wards has. We have not one, not two, but 3 Santa Claus parades. So a little bit of boasting there, but if Santa Claus parades are your thing, Ward 4 is where you want to be. We start off with Little Britain on December 12th, followed the next evening in Washburn Island on December 13th. And if you've missed the other parades and still want to get a parade in before Christmas, Woodville is usually the last one in there. It's very close to actual Christmas time, held on December 20th. So look forward to seeing you all at least one of those parades. Moving on to my monthly library announcement. This month we're focusing on Library of Things. So libraries are more than just books. This winter, for example, you can check out snowshoes and hiking poles, go on a family adventures on our local trails. Great way to learn a new hobby without renting equipment and see if it works out, if it's for you. Another idea you can do is check out a backyard birding kit. Comes with binoculars and a reference guide for local bird species. Again, a very accessible hobby, connect with nature and identify different bird species. And a third thing here is you can take out a radon detector. So this is in health and safety awareness. You can test your home for this invisible and potentially harmful gas, and it's free. Just check it out from your library, a radon detector. Thank you.
Does it come with the birds too?
The radon detector or the backyard birding kits? The birding kits, okay, yeah. No, you got to find the birds on your own, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Yo.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. December 7th is the Coboconk Parade, starts at 1 o'clock. So after you're done in the morning in the Pontypool, come out to Coboconk for the parade. Then you go back that night and watch their parade in Pontypool again. Just a fun-filled day for everybody. So come out and join us in Coboconk, and just remember, I think somebody mentioned it, is the season to give. So give to the food bank, give to the Salvation Army, give to those, because they do a good job of giving to those who need it. So let's remember those who needed this year and give. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging the efforts of the Fenelon Falls Legion, Branch 238, for providing so many excellent and meaningful acts of remembrance this past Remembrance Day, from the candlelight vigil to the cenotaph service to the dinner at the Legion that was hosted. The ability to commemorate was excellent, and I know it took a lot of hard work. So I want to make sure I acknowledge our local Ranch 238, all their members and volunteers. It's officially Christmas season in Ward 3, Mayor. We had the Santa Day Christmas lighting, the countdown to the Christmas tree on the island in Fenelon Falls. And seeing as apparently there aren't any other Santa Claus parades on this year, on November 29th is Santa Day in Fenelon Falls, an entire day of free fun for the entire family.
I think that's November.
November, did I say December, Mayor?
No, you said November the 9th.
29th.
Right.
29th, yes, I better get that correct. 29th, it's a full day, and one could say it's even 3 or 4 parades into one. Our parade is so spectacular. So be sure and come up and enjoy that day, Santa Day, November the 29th in Fenelon Falls. And last but not least, next Monday, the esteemed councillor for Ward 3 is hosting a community coffee hour on policing with a special guest, Jake Daines, who will be talking about community engagement and how we can work together with OPP to keep ourselves safe. That's going to be at St. James Church Hall next Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just a reminder from me that next Wednesday, we're going to be digging into the budget. And this week, you can schedule meetings with staff. I know some of you have things that conflict with that, but I think if you talk to staff, they will make themselves available to you other than the times posted. And you can do it by phone, or you can do it by Zoom, or you can do it in person. But I encourage council to meet with staff and ask any questions they have about the process, about the budget itself, or how to do an extraction, how to go forward with that. So I hope you take advantage of it. I don't have much more than that. Everybody seems to have covered all the activities that have gone on in Kawartha Lakes. So I'll look and see if staff have any announcements. I think the paramedic chief may have something.
I've spoke a lot today, but paramedic service and many of us were able to celebrate an important milestone this morning. With the land agreement formally in place with Trillium Lakelands, we were able to unveil a sign at the site this morning that reads Future Home of Kawartha Lakes Paramedic Service. So that was a very wonderful celebration this morning, and I want to appreciate and thank so many people for joining and recognizing that. We're also going to be traveling to Toronto tomorrow to celebrate one of our paramedics. Darcy Caffin will be receiving the Exemplary Service Medal for his 30 years of service and exemplary care to the community. So we'll be very excited to celebrate with Darcy and his family tomorrow. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to deputations. We have one deputation today, and it's on development charges, background study, and associated bylaw relating to item 1118 on the agenda. We have Mr. Brendan Flowers and Victoria McCrum. They are on Zoom, I believe. And Mr. Flowers?
Hi, can you hear me?
You have 5 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon to the mayor and members of council. My name is Brendan Flowers, and I'm a development manager with Smart Centres REIT. Smart Centres is one of Canada's largest fully integrated real estate investment trusts, with 197 strategically located shopping centres in communities across the country, represented in every province. We are involved in a forthcoming site plan amendment application for a proposed commercial development at Highway 35 and the future Sylvester Drive extension, part of the Tribute subdivision in Lindsay. We would like to highlight 2 concerns with the new DC bylaw. Firstly, as it relates to our own proposed commercial development, and secondly, as it relates to Kawartha Lake's competitiveness in attracting new commercial investments moving forward. As you may recall, at the October 21st public meeting, our consultant from Urban Metrics filed a written submission that provided an oral deputation to elaborate on these concerns. The new DC bylaw proposes a non-residential rate increase of $113 per square meter, representing an increase of 54%, from $207 to $320 per square meter in the Lindsay Northwest Trunk area. As you can imagine, business decisions for new commercial investments, such as ours, are made on prevailing rates and conservative indexing projections for annual inflationary growth. An overnight increase of 54% is an unforeseeable and impactful change in rates that threatens the viability of our project. While the 54% increase in rates is significant, we are primarily concerned with the removal of the discretionary exemption for non-residential uses. Under the current DC bylaw, the first 2,500 square meters of GFA of any commercial building is exempt from development charges. The proposed bylaw removes this exemption altogether. Together, the increase in rates and the removal of this exemption results in a DC rate increase of 157% for our proposed project, with our total DCs increasing from 2.4 million to 6.2 million. With respect to our forthcoming SPA application, we would like to thank Mayor Doug Elmsley and CAO Ron Taylor for their guidance. We are working diligently to submit our application before the end of the year to lock in current rates. However, the freezing of current DC rates is only granted once the city issues their notice of complete application, which can take up to 30 days. Moreover, rates are only frozen for a period of 18 months if a building permit is obtained within that time frame. In short, we remain concerned that our proposed project may become subject to the new bylaw, threatening our ability to attract desirable tenants, retailers, and service providers for Lindsay and Kawartha Lakes. In addition to the impacts on our proposed commercial project, the DC rates and the removal of the commercial exemption threaten to make Kawartha Lakes less competitive. As we understand it, the commercial exemption was introduced to respond to the pandemic-era slowdown in commercial investment. Importantly, as a major retail developer in Canada, we are only now seeing retail activity pick back up. Economic recovery takes time. The benefits of the commercial exemption may take several years to come to fruition. Ultimately, we understand that Lindsay and Kawartha Lakes is growing. We understand that costs have risen for residents and that to some extent, growth has to pay for growth. To that end, our priorities are not misaligned. Increasing the share of new commercial development in Kawartha Lakes moving forward will contribute to greater commercial tax revenues, thereby alleviating the tax burden on residents. Without taking a balanced approach, commercial investment will be disincentivized, minimizing the level of new revenues from commercial land uses. To close, we request that Council consider reinstating the discretionary exemption for commercial uses under 2,500 square meters to ensure that Kawartha Lakes remains competitive long-term. Thank you, and I'm available to address any questions that members of Council may have at this time.
Thank you. Let me get a motion to receive Councillor Richardson, Councillor Doble. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you too, Mr. Flowers. Thanks for coming, and we've spoken before. And your client, I believe, Urban Metrics, they described in the previous meeting that we had that if we get rid of this 2,500 meter exemption, and I'm just quoting, the municipality faces reputational exposure as a non-competitive jurisdiction. So in your opinion, obviously you're dealing with many municipalities and jurisdictions. How would you rate this particular adjustment or change as far as your business strategy goes? Would you go somewhere else, or would you encourage people to still, look at the municipality if it's if you don't have that incentive? As you mentioned, it's disincentivized when you take away that exemption.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ashmore, for the question. Yes, ultimately, part of the decision to come to Lindsay and Kawartha Lakes was certainly the favorable policy regimes as it relates to development charges and its applicable policies in the current DC bylaw. And so, to the extent that we're looking for new opportunities in communities such as Kawartha Lakes, we're certainly taking into consideration some of the financial metrics that, could potentially impact, the longevity and success of our projects. And so, certainly we're looking for areas that are favorable from an economic standpoint, and that certainly played into the decision to, consider this proposed project in the Kawartha Lakes area. And, ultimately we're committed to wanting to be here. We're committing to wanting to be in the Kawartha Lakes and Lindsay community. But we certainly feel as though the increase is just too significant for an overnight rate increase, as well as I mentioned, the disincentivization of the removal of that discretionary exemption certainly is something that we could not have foreseen coming and weren't expecting that this would be removed. So again, appreciate the question. Hopefully that provides some additional clarification.
Okay, thank you. And when we get to that in the agenda, hopefully we'll be able to keep that exemption for you.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks very much for coming today and explaining. And of course, I believe that you have spoken to numerous councillors sitting around the table, so we had a better understanding where it come from. As you know, commercial DCs are typically higher in areas where existing infrastructure is limited, but in this case, it's absent, and we need to grow, and growth pays for growth. I'm just wondering, one question that comes to my mind, obviously we have to put our DCs up because we haven't had that increase since 2019. How about your hard costs? How much of your hard costs increased since you started building since 2019 with your smart centers? Have you too felt that inflationary pressure?
For you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Richardson, for the question. Certainly costs across the board have gone up, and that includes hard costs on our end as well. I think, in order to address that, I think per the deputation that I just provided, while we understand that costs are increasing significantly with respect to the DCs, especially for non-commercial uses, our primary request is to reinstate the commercial discretionary exemption. And so while certainly we are requesting that if possible costs be reduced, ultimately I think our primary ask in recognizing that costs do need or may need to go up because costs are being elevated everywhere, including, as you mentioned, certainly on our side as well. I think just supporting the incentivization of new commercial investment through maintaining that discretionary exemption would be the ask today, recognizing that costs may need to increase as Lindsay continues to grow. So I appreciate the question.
Thank you very much. And exactly, and that's the issue. As we move forward, we do have these gaps when it comes to infrastructure, and we want you to come to our area for sure, because the market says that we need you, and I don't disagree with how that market's playing out right now. But I'm pretty sure that our average resident would be a little bit skeptical if we told them that they would be ended up paying for some of those infrastructure costs for the growth to have you. So for me, it's really about showing the city moving forward and being a little bit more sustainable and not putting that tax burden on our current residential base.
For you, Mr. Chair, or if Mr. Mayor, if I can just address that comment. Certainly understand where Councillor Richardson's coming from, and appreciate you sharing those thoughts with us before this meeting as well as during this meeting. I think ultimately, a lot of the redevelopment that's happening in the Lindsay area, as you know, is largely residential, and certainly we believe that some of the benefit of offsetting the tax burden on residents is proposing to bring more commercial investment and more commercial land uses that in turn pay those commercial taxes to kind of alleviate some of that pressure. So, but again, thank you for the question.
Thank you. And thank you for coming today. We have a motion to receive. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. And we will be dealing with that bylaw later in the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7.1 is correspondence. I need a motion that the correspondence from Jeff Solly of Tribute Communities regarding the Kawartha Lakes Development Charge Background Study and bylaw update be received. Councillor Doble, Councillor Warren, all in favor? And that passes. Presentations, I see none, so we move into Committee of the Whole. And I need a motion that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of November 4th, 2025 be received, and the recommendations included in section 9.3 of the agenda be adopted, save and except 933, 935, 9316, 9317, and 9320. I have a mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor McDonald, Councillor Yeo. Any other, did I miss anything? No? Okay. All in favor? And that's passed. All right, first up, 933, Councillor Yeo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, I'd like to move that the deputation by Edward and Gina Folsom be received at the Committee of the Whole, and that the matter be referred back to staff for a report back at some point, maybe by the first quarter of next year, with options for the Folstons, including buy, lease, or do nothing at all. Thank you.
Okay. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Deputy Mayor McDonald, do you wish to speak to it some more?
Yeah, just briefly, I was talking or got some recommendation from Robin, our solicitor, that the property in question could in fact go back to staff and come back to council at a later date with those options, and the option that she kind of leaned towards was just leaving it and doing nothing at all, and because it doesn't require really anything at all, and they could just carry on their life without interference. But I'll wait for the staff report to come back and see in fact what the options are for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
No, it seems like a reasonable request.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? All in favor? And that's passed. Item 935, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. This is a resolution that I'm bringing as response to the deputation by Mr. Odd on November 4th regarding the request for review on the Greenbelt legislation. If you want me to read the resolution. Okay, thank you. That the objectives and protections of the Ontario Greenbelt, including safeguarding agricultural lands, natural heritage features, hydrological systems, and the ecological integrity of the broader watershed be supported. That housing needs can be met primarily through intensification, redevelopment, and efficient use of existing settlement areas while maintaining strong protection for agricultural and natural heritage systems. That the City of Kawartha Lakes is experiencing growth and development pressures and is committed to managing the growth in a sustainable, coordinated, and environmentally responsible manner. That the province of Ontario be asked to maintain stable and predictable greenbelt boundaries, and the future changes be subject to comprehensive, transparent review process with meaningful consultation with municipalities, Indigenous nations, conservation authorities, residents, and the agricultural sector. That the province of Ontario be asked to bring the Greenbelt in alignment with other provincial plans, including the Provincial Planning Statement 2024. That the copy of this resolution be circulated to Premier of Ontario, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, local MPPs in the Kawartha Region Conservation Authority, neighbouring municipalities, and Association of Municipalities of Ontario. And I did vet this through Director Barry before I brought.
And a motion to receive. We have a seconder. Councillor Warren. Councillor Richardson, do you wish to speak to it?
It was a very heartfelt deputation that we did receive from Mr. Odd, and obviously the review is now, it's in the 10-year planning statement. So this is just an additional support from the Kawartha Lakes, showing our support and how we need to be, stringent on how we move forward and make sure that we're transparent as well.
Thank you. Councillor Warren?
Ditto, and we have to protect the Greenbelt, as Mr. Odd let us know at the last meeting. So thank you for the resolution.
Director Barry, did you wish to say anything on it, or you're fine? Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. All in favor? And that passes. Item 9316, proposed service surplus declaration, closure and sale of road allowance. Councillor Yo.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'd like to move the first that the report be received and that this matter be referred back to staff to investigate other alternatives with the Department of Defense in acquiring these public lands, as the public has shown quite an interest in them. So again, through Robin, our solicitor, she thinks this is the best alternative so that we can approach the Department of Defense and work something out so these lands can remain somewhat in the public and see what they say. The seconder, please.
You have a seconder for that? Councillor Deputy Mayor McDonald. You want to speak to it? Councillor Hill?
Just briefly, I kind of did, but this road allowance in question is not swallowed wholly by the Department of Defense. It's only one side of it, and it is used as a snowmobile trail. It's used to access backlots, and it could landlock some properties in there. So we're looking to see what their needs are with Department of Defense and negotiate with them and see if we can maintain some of this for public use. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, I agree. So let's just get it right the first time. And so it looks like we need to have some more investigation. So I support him.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. 9317, proposed surplus declaration, closer sale of road allowance adjacent to 81 Harvest Road. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would wish that this report be received and that staff, I'll write this out for clerk's office, that staff proceed with the sale of the road allowance to current applicants in negotiations, and that a right-of-way be established for access to an adjacent field. I can explain.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Hill. You want to speak to it some?
Sure, thank you. This has been going on for about 5 years now, and I want to thank Mayor Elmsley for working with myself and the applicants, the neighborhood, and of course the people that are trying to resolve an issue that's been there for several years of not being able to access their lot. This is, I believe, the best situation, the best outcome that we can do right now is selling. They're willing to pay market price for the property and pay the closing costs of everything involved. There is an issue of making sure that there's a couple of fields that another farm operator needs to access, and that this right away be written into the agreement that the landowner will have access to their field, so because they can't access it off Harvest Road. So just asking for your support, please, because this has taken like 5 years, and again, we've worked hard for it. The mayor helped a lot, CAO, several meetings to get this done, and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Councillor Yo, do you wish to speak to it?
Nope. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will. I think, you know, the folks came here pretty frustrated a couple of years ago. And we have tried to work with them. They kind of bought this property figuring that they would be able to build on it. I don't think that the full story was told on how they would manage to do that, seeing as how they had no frontage. What this does is give them frontage on an open road allowance, which will allow them to build on the property. It also protects the rights of the other neighbors in order to be able to access their properties. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, and I think we should support it. Thank you. So, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you. Nine 320, Councillor Joyce, Leaf and Yard curbside collection.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, this is to correct my error at the COW meeting. I said deferred, and I meant referred. So I'll just to move on, that this report, WM 2020-25-008, Leaf and Yard curbside collection service review, be received and referred to the Waste Management Committee for review, and that staff report back to Council by the end of Q1 2026, following the consultation with the Waste Management Committee.
Seconder is Councillor Warren. Anybody want to talk to it? It's okay. All in favor? And that's passed. Item 10 is planning advisory. That the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 5th, 2025 be received and the recommendations included in section 10.3 of the agenda be adopted. I will move her and second her. Councillor Doble, Councillor Perry, all in favor? And that's passed. Item 11 is consent matters. I believe, Councillor Ashmore, you have those.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Doble, that all of the proposed resolutions shown in section 11.1 of the agenda be approved and adopted by Council in the order that they appear on the agenda and subsequently numbered, and save and except for the following items. 11.1.3, provincial energy procurement municipal resolution in support of proposal submissions. 11.1.6, weight municipal drain, consideration of engineer's report. 11.1.8, development charges, background study and associated bylaw. And 11.1.11, greening the city's fleet update.
So we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that passes. So first up, 11.1.3, provincial energy procurement municipal resolution in support of proposals. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you. This was just a last-minute find for me when I was reviewing the agenda just before I came in here, recognizing that we were receiving this for information. However, at our last meeting, On the 4th, we had a resounding support for those two applications, and I feel like we need to move forward with the process so they can move forward with the process they need to move forward with, because they have that looming December 18th deadline. So it was just a matter of fleshing it out, saying that there needs to be action on this, this one currently.
So that's a motion to receive and a motion to support
Yes,
the application.
that's correct.
Councillor Warren. Did you want to speak any more to it?
No, I think I summed it up. It was, you know, it was unanimous, and these folks need to move forward, and this is part of the process of moving forward by providing that municipal support resolution, and they do have that looming deadline, so I think it's a necessary step today.
Councillor Warren?
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought in the committee of the whole that there was a report coming. Maybe I missed that. And that we, in the committee of the whole, that we supported both of those developments. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So the CAO is suggesting that within the report, there is a consent agreement, and that we receive the report and approve it as per the consent resolutions within the report, okay? It accomplishes what you're trying to do.
No, exactly. I'm more than
Okay.
willing to go that way. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? And that passes. Item 1116, Councillor Perry, Waite Municipal Drain, consideration of engineer's report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This is one of those ones that's not easy or fun to do. All of the impact is occurring in Ward 3, and having spoken with folks, read the reports, considered this issue and its impact, I'll be moving that the report be received. However, that the drain engineer's report not be adopted to move forward with the municipal drain.
Is there a seconder to that?
Should I do a receive first, Mayor?
So we have a motion to receive. Is there a seconder for the motion to receive? Councillor Yeo. All in favor of receiving the report? Okay. Moving on to the second part, you are proposing that the engineer's report not be considered, and that nothing be done with this drain.
That's correct, and that's a conclusion reached on looking at the impact, the financial burden on 15 lots of people's property, concerns with regard to reductions in the water table, and the fact that the city would have to then be responsible for maintenance. I did speak with Mr. Waite this morning. I believe Mr. Waite is here. Either of you, Mr. Waite?
Speak into your microphone, please.
No, sorry, I mistook someone in the gallery for Mr. Waite. I thought he was with us. I know that he is disappointed, but such are the hard calls that we're called to make as councillors, especially given perhaps if it was a smaller impact municipal drain, that would be acceptable. But under the circumstances, there are 15 people's properties. Mandatory cost for each is averaging over $4,000. Some are as little assessment as $290 or $670, but some of my constituents are going to be hit with an assessment fee of $16,000, $17,000, a couple of them. And again, water wells are an issue, reduction in water table, fear from residents that the drain could take away from their private wells, plus the ongoing maintenance that may be required. I spoke with Richard Monahan, who is our Director of Drains. I know I'm not getting his title quite right. who was able to help me understand and provide some more of this information. I did attend the Drainage Board meeting, which I know some of my fellow councillors sit on as well. This is coming as a recommendation and report from the Drainage Board. And it's one of those ones where it could be appealed either way, depending on what we decide today. The Drainage Tribunal, I understand, would be the next step for either side, depending on our decision. And the clerk's office sends out the notice of assessments to be appealed, and this would likely occur by the middle of next month. So I understand this has been a long process. It's been a decade back and forth. This does provide some closure, but for the reasons I've stated, the extent of the impact, the number of residents' properties that are going to be impacted, the amount of money that's required to be paid. I don't know if any of us could have a $17,000 bill right now. The water reduction concern and the ongoing maintenance, I would encourage that we not approve this municipal drain.
You weren't here for the Shorten 2A drain. It started out as $70,000 and ended up more than $1 million. So anyway,
I understand.
I believe the Director of Engineering has something to say.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just some comments on processes. So municipal drains fall under the legislation of the Drainage Act. The Drainage Act is very controversial, no doubt, but it's well established. So under the City of Kawartha Lakes policy and regulations, we delegated the review and implementation of any municipal drains to a drainage board. We're one of 2 municipalities that do that, us and Chatham-Kent. The Drainage Board doesn't have the authority to pass bylaws, but they have the authority to review, hire the engineer, recommend the engineer, and go through that process, which they've done. I just want to highlight the risk, right? So we've followed the process. There are three appeal bodies for various different things for a municipal drain. They are the Court of Revisions, the Drainage Tribunal, and the Drainage Referee. Those are 3 formal appeal bodies. So the risk of not approving a municipal drain that's gone through all the processes, we would be at risk of appealing it to the Drainage Tribunal in this case, which we would really have no defense to, right? Because we followed the process. It's a justified drain. It's gone through the requirement. And there's really no reason why council shouldn't approve it. So we can go through that, but any legal costs we incur to defend something that's going to get approved is just going to revert back to the people on the drain. It'll get assessed out. And that's exactly sort of what happened in the short in 2A. Mind you, that was a magnitude higher expenses than this one. The other mechanism is for council to approve the bylaw that's gone through the process. The residents or the affected parties on that drain still have the opportunity to appeal to the Drainage Tribunal. We would then defend it through our engineers. We could easily do that. And then the outcome is the outcome. So again, that's what I would recommend to council.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I sit on the drainage meeting. We did have the last meeting regarding the Waite municipal drain on October 30th. It was a very well-versed conversation that night, exploring options and speaking to the residents. Also recognizing that, you know, the Municipal Drain Act is what we're following, and we're following that legislative process. And yeah, there's some, you know, some concerns with some of the wells, but those have been legacy concerns for many years because of the way the wells are. They're dug wells, they're not drilled wells. But we had some very poignant evidence pointed out during that from the consultants, and showing us that this is the best approach, is moving forward with the municipal drain. Like you said, it's a decade old, and as much as I understand where Councillor Perry's coming from, if we're following our due process, then we do need to move forward with this.
Thank you. Before we go any further, You have a motion on the floor, but you don't have a seconder. So is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Yell, you seconding the motion?
Yeah, for conversation, I think
Okay.
it's required to carry on.
Do you want to speak to it?
I was here for the shortened two-way drain, so I don't know what to say. If the act is clear and there's a process to follow, then I think that's got to be followed. So I don't know.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
I too was here for that shortened two-way drain, trying to forget it. But I have a question to Juan. When the residents appeal, are there costs? I forget if the costs incurred to the municipality in that process, or is it all through the residents, charged back to the residents? I've forgotten that.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So any appeal to any of the three bodies, Court of Revisions, Drainage Tribunal, referee, the city would defend it, and subject to the ruling, it would either be charged back or not. So sometimes, for example, we're using the shortened 2A. The shortened 2A ruling limited the amount of legal cost back to the residents, and then the city was responsible for the rest. So it could be any, all the above, right? The tribunal can say charge back 100% to the benefiting parties, or city, you absorb that cost, or any mixture of the two. So it's really up to the appealing body to determine that cost sharing.
Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm looking at taking a position of the property owner, and let's say I'm being hit with a $2,000 bill for this drain, just for argument's sake. I don't want city council to appeal something, and maybe I don't want to appeal, and then I'm through that appeal process, I'm saddled with a $10,000 bill now because of all the re-engineering and legal costs that can come potentially back to me. I really think if there's going to be an appeal, it has to go through the Drainage Act and let the residents appeal this, should they so desire. That's the proper process, and let them take control of their own destiny that way is my favorite approach on this. And just as a quick aside, I was talking to an engineer, and I don't know how if this is true or not, but he's telling me that when engineers go through the Drainage Act school, per se, the shortened two-way drain is an example of how not to do things. So let's not add a chapter 2 to that. Thank you.
Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So first, the shortened 2A is a case study. There's pros and cons to every case study, so I want to preface it that way. Number 2, regarding payment or assessment, let's call it. So all benefiting parties are assessed. If you fall within a certain threshold, it's not administratively feasible to send an assessment out. So for example, if your assessment is $50, well, it's going to cost us more than $50 to process it, so we waive it, right? So that's the first tier. The other tier is if you're farm tax eligible, OMAFRA does provide a grant towards your assessment. So a portioner, I think it's 1/3, they provide a grant, so OMAFRA would subsidize your assessment if you're farm tax eligible. So now some of the residents, I think that Councillor Perry is, don't fall in either of those two categories. So in that case, yes, they would have to pay their assessment. For, I believe we have a hardship clause where if you make under a certain amount of annual income, there are municipal reliefs, right? I'm not sure if any of the residents fall into that category. The fourth category would be they can pay it, I believe, over the course of 10 years. So if you do have a $2,000 or a $5,000 assessment, again, there is a mechanism to pay that over a period of time, a term. I believe that term is 10 years to lighten that one-time burden.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question through you to Director Rojas. Benefit would be the key word, I guess, to all of these drains, would it not? Like benefiting landowner when they purchase a property, whether it be a farm operation, a full-time farmer, part-time farmer, a residence, they benefit from the drainage from that drain if it's working properly, and then over time it has to be clean. And it has to have an outlet too. So my question is, and this applies basically to all drains, that there's always benefiting, the people who are involved in this are benefiting from the drain itself, whether it's not working now or will be working better if it is potentially cleaned out?
So thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So municipal drains are sort of a unique piece of infrastructure. So municipal drains, in accordance with the Drainage Act, is different than a roadside ditch, a culvert. Those are different mechanisms. So for a municipal drain, there are two types of benefits. There's a benefit if you're on the drain. So if you have either a closed drain or an open ditch and your property is physically hosting that drain, you have a tier 1 benefit, let's call it, where your assessment is higher because you're directly connected to the drain. Then there's a tier 2 benefit. So if you're within the catchment area of that drain, so the drain is physically not on your property, but your land drains towards the drain, but is outside the physical footprint of the drain, you have a tier 2 benefit. So your drainage from your land is accounted for in the downstream drain, and you have a lesser assessment. So there are two types of assessment for the drains, and then we clean it out once the municipal drain bylaw is passed. We then evaluate that drain, and we typically clean it out every 10 to 15 years. That clean out is then reassessed in accordance with the schedule. But the assessment for maintenance is drastically lower than the assessment for construction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, we have a mover and seconder. Council, what's your wish? Councillor Perry, do you want to sum up?
Very briefly, Mayor. I mean, I've heard the opinions expressed around the table. I know this was greatly reduced in scope in terms of the work, which I found relieving until I saw the extent of some of the bills that would still be coming in for many of the residents along that area. I realize this comes from the Drainage Board. I've attended a meeting of the board, and I want to thank my fellow councillors who sit on that for their consideration of this. We do have process, but we're also here with the power to approve or not, and that's where the substance comes in, and perhaps the people aspect. And you know, I do know, as I said, that it got reduced. There are no $50 assessments in this one. They're all at least $290 up to $17,000, and the well water, I know, in having listened to residents, are still a concern, legacy or not. But as always, I submit that on behalf of my constituents, and I'm in your hands.
Thank you. So the motion is not to proceed with the engineer's report and the recommendations of the Drainage Committee. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that fails. Anybody want to move the motion as printed?
Oh, it was received already?
It was received already, I understand that. So now, do you want to move the rest of the report? Councillor Richardson and Councillor Ashmore. Do you want to speak to it? Councillor Ashmore, you want to speak to it?
No, that's fine, thanks.
All in favor? And that passes. Thank you. Next up is report CA 2025-008, Development Charges Background Study and Associated Bylaw. Councillor Richardson, you had that extraction.
I did. Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I felt it was prudent and due diligence to extract this today. One hearing a deputation today, and obviously some additional correspondence. First, I just want to kind of make an opening comment, and then I do have a couple of questions that I would like to explore. So over the past 5 years, our municipalities experienced significant growth. To maintain high-quality infrastructure and services such as roads, water systems, and community facilities, we must adjust our development charges to reflect current and future demands. We have not had an increase since 2019, but let's recap what's happened since then. Pandemic shock, highest interest rates in 40 years, supply bottlenecks, aggressive interest rates to contain the inflation. We've just been through a comprehensive study and exercise, and we had 13 meetings with the task force. Why do we have consultants? We have a report on today's agenda, and it's based on evidence-based. So today we're making decisions based on evidence-based, what the consultant has provided. Manager found report exposes the impact on why we need the DC increase and the net impact if we don't. If it comes down to us choosing stability for our residents and not putting an increased burden on their tax levy. Without an adjustment, we risk underfunding critical services. We also need to consider that we don't address today will be put down and pushed further into the DC strategy for future. And we also want to be very prudent about not putting additional pressures on our taxpayers. As we know, going through the budget process right now, there's a lot of pressures out there that we don't have much control over. So we're committed to a fair and transparent process. Everything we have been working on, our long-term financial plan, our asset management, our water and wastewater, council's commitment to the housing pledge, our GMS, they're all intertwined. They all come together. And this is where the DC strategy comes in. We have to ensure that growth pays for growth, so existing taxpayers aren't burdened with the new cost of development. And if I could just maybe flesh out a couple of questions to Dr. Found, just to go over some of the notes, the key notes that he put in today's report on the agenda is, one is the city has considered alternatives such as phased-in implementations, exemptions, or incentives to balance public needs with development needs. Why is this approach more conducive into the city's sustainability? Is one for right now, and then I'll follow up. Thank you.
Dr. Found.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the councillor for the question. As outlined in the report, implementing things like DC phase-ins and exemptions are elective for the municipality. They're not imposed by legislation. So those would have to be decisions made by the municipality. And as such, under the Development Charges Act, we would then be required by law to replenish the DC reserve for all of the associated shortfalls in revenue that result from those measures. And that ultimately means those shortfalls and the recovery for them would fall onto our ratepayers. And as the report notes, that is going to amount to several millions of dollars every year. And that figure is going to become much higher with the higher DC rates, because you can imagine when you have an exemption in place, the exemption is more costly when the DC rates are higher. And so if we're looking at DC rates going up in the range of 30 to 50 to 80%, then likewise the cost of the exemptions to the ratepayers would increase. And so that was one of the qualifications that is in the report there as well. And so I think to fully answer the councillor's question, it's certainly the view of staff that it is not sustainable for the city to continue with those kinds of exemptions or to phase in the DC rates or really to do anything other than to adopt the proposed DC rates as soon as possible, because our financial health depends on it, as well as the growth that we have planned for and that we have committed to with the province.
Thank you. Did you have more?
I'll let other councillors, I see the lights coming on, so I'll follow up.
Okay. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and just a question from the deputant. There it sounds like their project will go through the old DC bylaw, but they had some misgivings about that. Is there a possibility it wouldn't? I guess is my question.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I suppose that is possible. I can't say that I have detailed information as to what is occurring on their end in terms of their application. What I can say is that if this bylaw is approved today as printed, it will not take effect until January 1st. So given that, the deputant has the opportunity to submit a site plan application to the city in complete form before the end of the year. And if that occurs, then under the Development Charges Act, the DC rates that would apply to that development would then be frozen for a period of time that would stretch from the time at which the application was received to a period that would be 18 months after the application is approved by the city. So that approval might be, say, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. I'm not sure what that would be, but whatever that approval date is, that would then trigger the start of that 18-month period. And so potentially, if an application were provided to the city today in complete form, or at least by the end of the year, the DCs for that development would be frozen at the 2025 rates for up to potentially 2 years, depending on the various timelines that become involved. And I should note that not only are the rates frozen, but the exemption that exists currently would also apply to those rates. And so we heard from the deputant that he's very concerned, or his primary concern is securing that exemption. Well, the best way to do that is to file a site plan application before the end of the year.
Just further, so complete, so does that mean that it has to be approved? Or it is, can you just tell me what complete means?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I think I'll defer that question to our Director of Development Services, but what I can assure Council is that deeming the application complete is not necessarily the same as approving it. So I will let the Director speak to it, though.
Through the mayor, thank you for redirecting, Manager Pound. So the literal DC Act speaks to when the site plan application is filed or submitted with the city. Under the Planning Act, the city has a time period to review that application for completeness. That's a 30-day period, at which time it's either deemed complete or incomplete. So operationally, 30 days after the filing of an application is when we can assess whether the application is complete. However, it is important to note that the Act literally says that it is deemed on the date that it's filed. So we need the operational date of 30 days to let the proponent, the applicant, know whether there are pieces outstanding yet to be filed or not. But if it's a complete submission, meaning nothing further is needed, that's an important date, being the date that it's filed with us. And that's what we're looking to ensure happens this year. And for the security of the applicant, it's important for them, because if they potentially have an incomplete application, they'll have to refile at a subsequent time, and that could stretch, indefinitely. There was another part to that question, and I'll just wrap that up by saying that the approval date that was referenced also is determined as when the site plan agreement is approved, registered, and that's at the end of the processing period. So we process the site plan application, it's reviewed by a number of agencies, we get to the point of creating the agreement, it ultimately gets registered, and therein is when an 18-month period commences for a building permit to be issued and construction.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you, through you. Just a couple things is that, let's point out that there's no doubt in my mind that we want the Smart Center to to come to the city of Kawartha Lakes, and I'm just hoping that they get the information in by the end of December to meet their target, and also other commercials, people that want to come to the city. But I guess the main thing is our cost has gone up so far, which we just heard our costs have gone up so much, and so has theirs. But can you imagine next year at this time, sitting around for a budget committee and shortfall of millions of dollars that we have to put on to our residents? That's just unbearable. I can't even think of even talking about that in another year from now, based on what we're trying to do this year to keep taxes down as low. I cannot ever support putting this on our people. Growth has to pay for growth. I cannot ever imagine trying to convince our residents that we're paying for all the growth in our city of Kawartha Lakes. I just can't fathom it. I wouldn't support it. And I would love Smart Center to come and as many commercial people to come, but we have to actually answer to our residents, and I could not answer that to them today as I speak. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, first a comment and then a question. My comment is, when we strike a committee on anything, I trust that committee to do the hard work and come back with the right solution. And I don't think it's a good idea to ever second guess, what a committee comes up with that decision-making process. My question is competitiveness. I don't know if this is best directed to Dr. Found or Director Bukaboom or CEO Taylor, but of the 400 plus municipalities out there, are we ahead of the curve in reevaluating our DC policy? Are we in the middle of the pack? Because I can imagine other municipalities will have to equally raise their rates as well. So I'm just wondering how we sit there at the current stage and say a year or two down the road where we fit in that scheme of DC policy rates. If you can answer that question.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to go first, and others may jump in a bit later. So what I have been noticing in the municipal sector is that as a result of the tremendous amount of, really actually unprecedented amount of amendment and change to the Development Charges Act, has caused, I think, a lot of municipalities to have to adjust and to pass new DC bylaws or amendments to those bylaws. And so we're actually finding that a lot of municipalities over, let's say, the last year or so have been very active in this regard. And so we're really in the same boat, I think, with respect to our peer municipalities in that regard. In terms of how we compare rate-wise with our peer municipalities, you might recall from the public meeting of October 21st that Watson had presented a slide that compared where we are currently with various peer municipalities and where we would be after the proposed bylaw takes effect. And I think if I recall correctly, there wasn't a lot of movement, first of all, in terms of that graph. And secondly, that we actually didn't compare that unfavorably to our peer municipalities. So for instance, our residential DC rates are still going to be lower than Peterborough's by quite a bit. They will still be very much lower than those that we see in Durham Region. Those two areas are arguably our greatest competitors for things like smart centers. And so I think when you look at the figures in those terms, that there really isn't cause to be alarmed.
Thank you, Dr. Pound. I remember that presentation. I can't remember the exact detail of that graph, but I'm going to go back to it. Thank you for that.
Councillor Dole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A comment and a quick question. I've spent quite a bit of time in the last few weeks speaking with staff who've been extremely helpful in helping me to better understand. I've also had a number of meetings I've been invited to with local developers, residential, multi-res, and commercial, and again, they've helped me to even better comprehend what is at stake. I hold all of these people in high regard. They're bringing development that we desperately need into our community, and to varying degrees, they all acknowledge their responsibility to contribute and our need for development charges. And the costs that are involved here that we're using the development charges for, these are not options. This is work that must be done to service and support new development. It's going to happen, and we have no option. So whether the funding is through our property taxes or development charges, the revenue must be obtained. So to Deputy Mayor McDonald's point, to not increase our development charges will only result in tax increases that far exceed what we are already looking at by way of municipal taxes in the coming years. So increasing our development charges, quite frankly, is our only alternative. And I believe that all of us, members of council, the community, and I believe the developers understand this. We want new investment, especially commercial investment. We need it. And it's important that our development charges do not disincentivize this investment. And to Councillor Joyce's point, I take comfort looking at our development charges compared to those in neighboring municipalities, Durham Region, York, and Peterborough. Our rates by comparison are competitive, realistic, and therefore reasonable, and should not by rights disincentivize development in Kawartha Lakes. My question, I noted with interest the removal of the existing provision for discretionary exemption for new commercial development that is less than 2,500 square meters, which of course is 27,000 square feet. It's a large area. I'm hoping that the city still has some flexibility through our existing community improvement program that may allow us to further incentivize small commercial growth.
Dr. Found.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, and I think I can certainly attempt a response, and the Director of Development Services may want to jump in as well, because community improvement plans do fall under the Development Services portfolio. I think for a while now, I have talked about the idea of the community improvement plan with the Development Charges Task Force, because this exact question came up multiple times there. And the task force, as you'll see in the report, in fact, had one of its recommendations exactly on this topic. And that recommendation was to discontinue these DC exemptions, with the understanding that if council should elect to provide some type of incentive to commercial development, industrial development, and so on, that can be done through a community improvement plan, should council so choose. And I'm not here to advocate one way or the other whether council should do that, but what I would say is if council does choose to do something like that, it is far better to do it through a community improvement plan than to do it through a development charges bylaw, for a couple of reasons. One reason is if you do it through a development charges bylaw, then it has to be done in a very blunt way, and you can't target the incentives the way that you might want to do or as you might want to under a community improvement plan. The other reason for going the community improvement plan route is that it's much more transparent. Council can be upfront with the public as to how the money will be used, what development would be eligible, under what circumstances, and so on. And council could be extremely targeted as to how it provides those incentives through a community improvement plan. So that's what I would have to say about that, and I welcome the question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Found, for that answer. That gives me a great deal of comfort, and I'm certainly prepared to support it.
I'm correct that future councils could offer an exemption as a one-off, but that exemption would eventually have to be paid back. Is that correct?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor, let me break that down into two different streams. So one stream would be through the community improvement plan. If council decides to provide an incentive within that program that is tied to DCs in some way, then the program itself will automatically replenish the DC reserve. And so the replenishment would, under that stream, be automatic. Under the other stream, that's where council has done this previously on a limited number of occasions. Council could elect to pay the development charges in whole or in part on behalf of a developer. You might recall this was done for community care. Community care approached council and asked for some relief. Council elected to provide that relief. And because there was not an exemption in the DC bylaw to provide the relief, council had to actually pass a resolution to pay those DCs on behalf of community care. And then that decision obviously could only occur if there was a funding source. And so a funding source was tapped into to support that decision. So that is sort of the ad hoc stream, and that's what council would have to do if it ever made that sort of decision again.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore, you also have this extracted, and I'm not going to take a vote right now until after you've had your extraction. So did you want to speak now or wait?
Well, I'm okay. I'm not going to extract it. It's been extracted. I'd just like to comment.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank the task force for all their time they put into this. It's a lot of work, and Dr. Found put a lot of work into it, authoring the report, and of course Watson and Associates, who were the consultants here. Now, just looking at, just going to go over a few things here, looking at the recommendations that the task force made, there were 17 recommendations. Looking at recommendation number 4, the city considers viability of consolidating police and fire headquarters, single facility to realize potential costs. So which is good about this task force, they were looking at ways of raising money, saving costs, in cost efficiencies and operating synergies. And then, which I found really inquisitive, really good point, was number 15, DC deferrals, that the city considered the viability of bonds, which I've been chirping about for years, as an alternative to letters of credit as a form of engineering or DC deferral securities provided by developers. So issuing bonds does alleviate the pressure of the financial pressure that we talked about, that we don't put it on to the consumer. Now, just looking at, there's two main things that are going on: affordability, and Councillor Joyce said competitiveness. And when we had our Peterborough Kawartha Home Builders Association came in, and they broke down the chart saying the municipal building costs are rising. So our official plan fees have gone from January 1st, 2024 to now, we'll say now, January 1st, 2026, 413%. We raised it that much. The zoning bylaw, 340%, 390%. So now we're looking at increases for a single family dwelling of upwards to $30,000. That's a make or break for young families trying to get into the home industry. And I just feel that, you know, we've got the home builders themselves who are coming in here, the developers, small, medium, and large. We've had them come in here and they had their good points. It's making it less affordable. Now, let's talk about this 2,500 exemption. We brought this in, I believe it was early 2020, and it was, I think, one of the best things we've ever did in the last term of council, this 2,500 square meters, which is, as Councillor Doble says, approximately 27,000 square feet. That's a pretty big building. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have had companies like Brooklyn Concrete, great companies like Brooklyn Concrete come in and create 80 plus jobs here. John Deere Corporation, the largest agricultural equipment manufacturer in the world, built a state-of-the-art building in Omemee, one of the top in the world. If you've ever been there, it's amazing. They would not have done that without this. I got a call from a truss manufacturer in my ward who we approved. They said, this is going to cost us $70,000 extra, this fee. It's a make or break thing for them. So I understand when we say growth pays for growth, but when you have stagnant growth and you have no growth at all, it's not going to pay for anything. So I'll leave it with one thing here. Last night I got a phone call before I went to my meeting in Dunsford. I got a phone call from the CAO of our largest private sector employer saying that if this is passed, they may consider moving to another municipality. This is how this is giving the shock effect. This should be phased in. And if it's phased in, that could be more, we could take it. But having it all honest on January 1st, 2026, it's just too much of a shock effect for not only the housing industry, we're trying to meet housing targets, but commercial and industry that's trying to come here, we're competing against everybody, every other municipality. So I'm just saying that I don't think this is the appropriate time to do this. I understand that growth has to pay for growth, but like I said, if we don't have any growth, we're not going to pay for anything. So I just think that we need to just hold on what we have right now, because there's other ways of doing this, and this is too much of a shock effect. And like what the developer said, like our speaker said today, it's going to make us look very less competitive and less desirable for people coming here to purchase homes and to build businesses. So I'll ask for a recorded vote after the end of this, please, because I really think this is a real turning point here for us right now. So hopefully I've made my points across, but I'm quite concerned that these costs are going to be way too high to all at once.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And just briefly, I'd like to address this issue of increased development charges automatically being an incentive or a problem to competition. Often we hear that, and it's supposed to be a full stop on the analysis. But there's a lot more to consider in terms of the impact of development charges on development and growth. That actual impact can be traced to determinants like the strength of the housing market, which we had just talked about, and that in those cases, development charges can have actually little long-term effect on total construction. What's the type of project? What's the land supply? The magnitude of the increase? Local land economics as well. There are a lot of factors that are nuanced within the development charges being an incentive or disincentive to growth or competition. It isn't a full stop and the analysis proposition. Most times development charges are still relatively small percent of the actual housing costs, and I'll say the quiet part out loud here, the developer's profit margins, which information we don't have access to because it's not public. Also, development charges are spent on things, as we know, like transit, parks, other services, which enhance property values and can therefore have an indirect benefit for developers who are building in our area. So I just want to make sure that we explored, a detailed approach to that concept in our decision making here this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you, through you. So I just want to make a comment and so on, that Mr. Ashmore just made a comment that he wants a recorded vote, which is great and everything like that. But I just want to point out that Mr. Ashmore is willing to have residents pay for growth and taxes go up. And I'm just totally against it. And he's sitting there and saying that where this money, when you phase it in, it's still going to cost millions of dollars for our residents. Okay, and he'll have a fine time trying to convince the residents of this. So just wanted to make that point as we go to vote.
Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor McDonald took all the words out of my mouth there. That's my concern, Councillor Ashmore, is what's the argument to convince our current ratepayers their property taxes are going up to support future growth? I'm struggling with that one. So,
Councillor Noble.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment further on Councillor Perry's remarks. I was going to speak to it as well. Development charges aren't going to increase the cost of housing. The market will. And it's a function of the market. I do have, I've been retired from my day job for a few years now, but I do have experience and some expertise in land economics. And all of the factors that Councillor Perry referenced that impact on values, as well as the fact that the improvements that these development charges are going to pay for are going to enhance the value of these investments. These can't be ignored. This is very accurate market economic observations on your part, and thank you for those comments. And I think they continue to support that.
So we've heard from everybody but me. Yeah, a day without me is like a day without sunshine. There we go. I agree that we cannot ask our existing residents to pay for the growth that's coming. We must seek the money and get the money from the developers. They have ways of raising money, and they have ways of dealing with municipalities and with our staff. And as we've heard, there are other methods where they can find relief, whereby it may only be temporarily or it may be permanently, but they can seek those. I don't want to sit here and look at tax rates that are double digit and then see when the housing market turns around, developers making millions and millions and millions of dollars. It would be a disservice to our existing ratepayers. We have to protect them. The province and the developers came forward to get minister's zoning orders. They got the minister's zoning orders, and we, in some cases, had our arm twisted to accept them. But once we accepted them, we then have to provide the infrastructure. And the only way we have to fund that infrastructure is through development charges, because municipalities have very few economic tools in their toolbox to raise funds. This makes sense. This is what we have to do. Do I want smart centers to come here? Absolutely. I'll go and throw rose petals down for them to march down the road. We can work with these people going forward, and they know what the rules are, and they will have, I am confident, they will have their site plan application in well in time. And being smart centers, I'm sure when it comes in, it'll be complete. I would be surprised if it was anything but. So, they have an option on what to do, as do the other developers. They're not selling any houses now. That's not our fault. We've put things in place to allow them to do it, but the market isn't there. Once the market turns around, it'll go crazy. So I think that we need to pass this development charges bylaw. And then if we need to work with the developers and they need some things, we can work with them to make that happen. So Councillor Richardson, it's your extraction. What is your motion?
My motion is to move forward with the report and move forward with the new bylaw to put the DCs in force.
As printed?
As printed.
Seconder, Deputy Mayor McDonald, do you wish to speak to it anymore?
No, I want to thank everyone around this table today, the good, the bad, and the ugly, for all the comments. And, you know, we are in a competitive environment, but we're also looking at future impacts. We can't control those future impacts. In a way we can with the DCs, because it is the tool that we have in our toolbox to move forward. And we do want the development, whether it be commercial, industrial, you know, residential, but growth needs to pay for growth. And I think we've all around this table recognized that, and we don't want to put it on the taxpayers. So like I said, everyone around this table has asked some very eloquent questions and made some eloquent statements, and I think we need to move forward.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
No, I think you heard my point of view. Quite clear. Thank you.
Thank you. A recorded vote was asked for, Madam Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
In favor?
Councillor Favor. Councillor Richardson.
In favor.
Councillor Ward.
In favor.
Councillor Joyce.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
In favor.
Councillor Perry.
In favor.
Councillor Yeo.
In favor.
Councillor Doble.
In favor?
Councillor Ashmore.
Opposed?
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Last extraction is 11-111. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank Manager Rod Porter for this really fulsome report. Excited about the hydrogen. It's a great endeavor to lower greenhouse gas emissions. Although when I made a resolution to have a report on greening the fleet around 3 years ago, I was hoping that EVs and chargers would be in the report. I understand that non-plug-in hybrids are a good step forward. When council turned down the chargers last year, I thought they would be coming forward again. The chargers could be used by staff during the night, and then the public could use the chargers during the day, and this would help to offset costs. So that's just a comment. But I'd like to make a resolution that the report be received, and that it be forwarded to the Environmental Advisory Committee for consultation and a report back.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Perry. You want to speak more to it?
Just to reiterate that greening the fleet, you know, is, oh, sorry.
I've said my bit.
Okay, sure. Just the bigger picture of greening the fleet being beyond what was in the report, as Councillor Warren mentioned, and that we really should be looking at all and having a report back on all forms of greening the fleet. And I'm quite confident that the committee will take that on in its report back to us.
Do you have a time on that report coming back?
The end of the third quarter.
We got a number of them that we've asked for first quarter. Do you mind going to the second?
Third quarter.
Oh, third quarter.
And it's actually, I mean, it's Jenna Stevens, but it really is from EAC. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Joyce, you wish to speak to it?
I had a question on the report itself. Should that wait? before-
No, go ahead.
Okay. Are we going to, it was very impressive fuel savings and carbon footprint savings on our larger buses and trucks, but with the passenger cars and pickup trucks, the ROI is almost non-existent. Are we going to proceed with doing the hydrogen fuel on the small vehicles? Because I don't see the sense of that moving forward in that particular direction.
Manager Porter?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, thanks for the question. Yes, we recognize kind of our approach, or what we're feeling we're going to move forward with, is we have a budget in 2026 to expand the hydrogen. We're going to start off with our biggest bang for our buck. So we've already done our transit fleet, which they consume the most fossil fuels, and that's where our biggest carbon reduction is. With 10 of the 15 units, that's where they are. Our next step will be to focus on our heavy trucks, as well as our heavy construction equipment, where there isn't a lot of tools in place to combat emissions. So those are our biggest wins right out of the gate. So our first kind of phasing was we'll probably implement 20 units. We'll do some testing to assure that they're working well and we're getting the economy that we expect. And then we would continue down that road. So we have a company in place that's doing our emissions testing for us as well to support this process. And they're confirming our results. So yeah, so to answer your question bluntly, yes, I think we will probably stay away from the passenger vehicle world to start. And I think we can achieve more reduction in our bigger units.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor McDonald?
Yeah, thank you, through you. Yeah, I'm just not quite sure what this is going to accomplish. We've already turned down the chargers and EVs, so I'm not quite sure what is really you're asking for, because it was already turned down. So I'm a little confused on what this report is going to accomplish. So yeah.
Who's your question to?
For you. It's just an update. When that happened, it was the timing, because if it had passed, and it didn't, then maybe we would have plug-in hybrids. I'm not sure. But we have a lot of people on the Environmental Advisory Committee that could put good input into looking at this report. You know, it's just an update, and they are our Environmental Advisory Committee. So that's why I've asked for this report, which I really liked. It was great. It was just about a few other things that I think that could be included as we're starting our climate change strategy very soon, I hear. So that could be all part of it, because you know, non-plug-in hybrids are helpful, but not that helpful. So just looking for a report back from our advisory committee on the environment. Thank you.
Councillor Richardson?
Thank you, and through you, and if I can just ask a question. Recognizing again, when we're upgrading our fleet and moving forward to a more green fleet, obviously there's more costs involved for rural municipalities, one being the longer driving distances, the charging infrastructure not being there. Obviously, the cold weather performance is one when you're so far stretched out like we are. Also, would we have to train, like, are we going to have, like, for our local technicians to be able to service this fleet as well? Is that going to be an additional challenge? And is there any grants or incentives that you're seeing out there currently as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. So starting off with the EVs, yes, it's a whole new business for us. So we would then have to train all of our technicians. We'd have to buy tooling. There's a significant safety measures that have to be in place as well. So you have to de-energize the units. So there's a whole bunch of training, SOPs, and tooling that would be required to get into the EV maintenance side. With our hybrid units, we bought them from a local distributor, and they are doing the maintenance for us. So in the passenger vehicle business, that's working really well for us. With regards to grants, so there is a lot of grants for electrification. We are actually working with our hydrogen supplier. They are slowly and moving towards hydrogen being an accepted model for greening the fleet. So there is going to be some grant opportunities. So what we're able to prove is the significant reduction we've made with a minimal capital investment, not that $100,000 is minimal, but comparative to, say, EVs, we can prove the carbon reduction, and we're petitioning the province and the federal government through our vendor to say, look at what we've accomplished, and trying to be looked at par. So again, we can take our existing fleet, we can reduce our carbon, we can probably do a better job or reduce our carbon more significantly than we could with potentially EVs, because EVs at this point are specific to passenger vehicles. It hasn't really progressed into heavy vehicles or construction equipment yet. With the hydrogen program, we can go across our whole entire fleet and find carbon reductions across the entire fleet.
Thank you, and it's a really great report, so thanks for that. And I am echoing your comment when it comes to those heavy-duty equipment, such as your plow operator, your snow plows and your buses and whatnot. Cost is a big factor currently, as you said.
You want to sum up?
Sure do. Through you, just on, we have the dealership looking after the non-plug-in hybrids. Could we not have them also service the plug-in hybrids? Anyway, that's just another point. They could, so that's not necessarily a reason not to support it. As I said earlier, I know there are a lot of people on the Environmental Advisory Committee that have a lot of background into greening fleets. And through that process too, when Steve Babcock was here, I'm sure everybody remembers him, he and I talked about just doing this, greening the fleet. He actually reached out to me to bring this forward 3 years ago. And there are many municipalities that are doing this. And so through this process, I would like to see what other municipalities are doing towards greening the fleet. Our intern this year, she also looked into greening the fleet, and there are many municipalities that are also using EVs for smaller vehicles. I think it's a great idea to move forward with the hydrogen. So, thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that passes. That's the end of extractions for consent. Moving on to, we have no petitions. We have no new or other, we have other business. We have 13.1, which is a memorandum regarding licensing for driving school operators and instructors. Councillor Richardson, this is your memo.
It is my memo. Thanks very much. This has been a conversation as long as I've been a councillor. We've seen a huge influx of driving schools in our municipality, and they're operating businesses in our municipality. And I did some research and looked into the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25, and there is an amendment in there that provides local municipalities to perhaps license and regulate any business wholly or partly carried on within the municipality, even if the business is being carried on from a location outside the municipality. So for me, I've had a lot of calls in the last couple of months because we have a lot of construction going on, which is great. But there's concerns with the driving schools operating, in unsafe areas such as high construction areas, doing some of their driving school operations through high residential. So this is more just about looking at staff providing a report back to look at the possible licensing of driving school operators and instructors and making it a little bit more legal in our area, and dealing with some of the public safety issues and the traffic flow concerns. So it's just more looking to see if we can move towards a possible license for this this issue that seems to be that comes up quite frequently in our area.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald,
I'll second it.
you're seconding. Do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I do, through you. I appreciate Councilor Richards bringing this up because I've had some issues in town here also. We have people coming into town running a business, and they should be licensed. If we have a new taxi company that comes into town, we make sure we license. They have to be licensed, and so on. I was up there the other day just to review what's going on up there at the License Bureau, and there was a lineup, and I don't think there was one individual from Lindsay there, and I think maybe it's an opportunity for us to evaluate the route and everything they do, because they're going down main streets like Durham Street and so on, and causing a lot of traffic issues. I really believe that there should be some kind of a main route that we look at if we go this way, to make it easier for and better traffic in the city of Kawartha Lakes. So I think there could be more opportunities for people in Lindsay that are waiting a waiting list to get their license also. But I'm glad she brought that up. I'll support whatever the process is, and to see if we can come up with some kind of solution to license these individuals.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure who to answer, but aren't these companies already licensed? When you see them, they have either the City of Toronto or, and I'm nothing against anybody coming from Toronto. I took my, 1980, I took my driver's license. I went to Oshawa. It was great. I learned how to drive with, other than a family member. You need that third party to show you how to drive, and it's the best thing you could ever spend your money on is driver's education. Now I see these drivers and their vehicles, but I always see a license behind them. I'm not sure, I haven't seen one that doesn't have a license, so I'm just wondering, are we discriminating against somebody who's coming from another part of the area, or like, I'm not sure what the issue is. I mean, people are you're taught defensive driving, and I think most people that are driving, they may be a little bit slower, but they're being cautious and they're learning how to drive, and I think that's a good thing. They also bring in quite a few people, and they purchase at local stores. So I'm not sure what the negative thing about having people come here to learn how to drive, because primarily is where they will drive in Lindsay, but it's a lot less cumbersome or stressful for them to driving in the city. But I'm just not sure why we're going after them, because I'm sure they already are licensed, or they wouldn't be allowed to do this.
We're not going after them. What we're doing is we're getting a report back from staff on whether they need to be licensed here, and whether we should have prescribed routes so that they don't impact traffic. So all we're asking for is a report back. Councillor Joyce.
I was going to shut my light off because I was going to say the same thing. This is just a report. I'm curious. Get the report back, and then I'll make an informed decision whether I support it or not.
Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, just to the comment that Mr. Ashmore did about the individuals bringing up there. I've been talking to a lot of businesses up in the plaza, and they all bring their own lunches and everything. They don't spend a nickel in town. So just to verify that they do not spend anything in town when they come up here. They come from Toronto and other towns and get their license. It's easy to drive in Lindsay, and then they go back and drive in Toronto. So, but they do not support too many things in City of Kawartha Lakes.
Thank you. You want to sum up, Councillor Richards?
Thank you. And yeah, absolutely. These folks are licensed. It's not about that. It's about us as a municipality being able to regulate some of the driving school operations, like you said, find public safety routes, manage congestion a little bit better. And it's just a report to say, what if? Could we? It seems to be an issue. Why not find out if we can help find a solution so we all can, manage and work through this better?
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. Moving on to memorandum regarding salt management. Councillor Warren, this is yours.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. And this memo has gone to the Roads Task Force, and now it's back here for a recommendation. So I first heard about this years ago, well, not that long ago, really, and it's been reiterated through Conservation Ontario. Lake Simcoe did studies on the salinity of the lake, and they're quite elevated. And we don't really know how much road salt or whatever is getting into our ecosystem, not just our lakes, but our groundwater as well. And so it's asking the province to just look at this and maybe bring some standards forward. It's been a long time since they've actually done that. Yeah, it's like it's been worsening since the 1970s, especially in groundwater, aquifers, and freshwater creeks, rivers, and lakes, largely due to runoff from the use of salt for winter maintenance. With our commitment to a healthy environment, we should be supporting all efforts to maintain and even improve the health of our lakes. We've got lake management plans. We spent money doing that. We want to keep our lakes pristine for economic development also. So it's just asking the province to look at this and maybe have a single set of standard practices for salt management, and to urge them to create and fund an advisory committee dedicated to providing best practices to protect freshwater ecosystems and drinking water from impacts of salt pollution. So it's supporting the resolution from Georgina. Thank you.
Is there a seconder? Do you wish to speak to it some more?
It's been to the Roads Task Force and under your suggestion, and so it did that course, and now it's here. So it's just asking for some input from the province.
You're good, Councillor Perry? Okay. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. Moving into bylaws. Councillor Richardson, I believe you have bylaws.
I do, and through you, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald, that the bylaws shown in section 14.1 of the agenda, namely items 14.1 to 1, 2 and including 14.1.7, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, so all in favor? And that's passed. We have one bylaw that is extracted from consent. It's a bylaw to provide for drainage works in the city of Kawartha Lakes to be known as the Waite Municipal Drain. That a bylaw to provide for drainage works in the city of Kawartha Lakes to be known as the Waite Municipal Drain be read a first and second time, provisionally adopted and numbered. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Ashmore and Deputy Mayor McDonald. All in favor? And that's passed. When do we do the third one?
Later on.
Third one apparently comes back later on. Moving on. Deputy Mayor McDonald, you have the confirming bylaw.
Yes, I do, through you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, be read the first, second, third time, passed, numbered, signed, and corporate seal attached.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. Motion to adjourn. We have no closed session today. Councillor Yeo, Councillor Perry. All in favor? Thank you very much for coming today.